Hey heroes, Jonathan here at Night Knowledge. Scouts suck, right? Wrong. The Age of Wonders 4 build I'm going to show you today is so broken, you can bet is going to get nerfed. But for now, let's take a look. I like to call it the Charming Spiders build. What makes this build so good is that it has many synergies. We make use of fast, invisible scouts to use the scout prospect ability, meet free cities to quickly gain their vassalage, and they'll be used as the cheap, secret, invisible offensive weapon. We'll continue to use scouts throughout the entire game, especially when we unlock higher magic tomes that'll cause chaos to our rivals. The underground start gives us additional access to more scout prospecting biomes, which are stalagmites. And finally, we make use of our whispering stones in the Empire development tree. We start off with the body and mind traits, where I've selected the spider mount and underground adaptation. Spider mounts will be given automatically to your scouts, usually your base culture tier 3 unit, and your hero depending on their starting weapon. This whole build essentially revolves around the spider mount, because at the time of this video, the spiders give the unit a 3-turn cooldown AoE special attack that does solid damage and can immobilize your targets. We pick the underground adaptation trait because it normally starts you underground, where there are limited ways of accessing your territory, and you'll get additional access to early biomes that you can use scout prospecting. We pick the industrious culture. This means at this point we have scout prospecting, excavating at the start, and our tier 3 shield unit, the Bastion, that not only has amazing defensive stats, will also be mounted with spiders. And yes, the industrious units will have bolstering as well, but we're focusing on DPS rather than survivability here. Now, if you just started the game and haven't unlocked it already, you can pick the Chosen Uniter Society trait, which gives the 20% additional vassal income and an additional Whispering Stone. I've played enough to unlock Silver Tongues, which gives you the Whispering Stone, an additional scout unit, and makes trades 100% cheaper. Up to you, but I like the cheaper trades. The Shadow Walker's trait buffs your scouts, making them faster and invisible, not to mention also gives you 1 additional unit at the start. Scouts will play a huge role in this army for the entire game. Onto the first Tome of Magic. I've selected the Tome of the Horde primarily for 3 things. The minor race transformation, Spawnkin, which increases the number of units in a stack, but primarily to increase the damage of your units by 20%. Your scouts may not look like they've been affected by the transformation, but they definitely get the buff. The Tome of the Horde also gives us a ranged unit that summons tier 1 hounds, and we get an AoE spell. Finally, to complete the faction, we select a champion leader primarily for the 100 increased starting free city allegiance. I recommend a weapon set that gives you the spider mount at the start, because that is 1 extra ranged attack that your army will use. I like the idea of just a mace and a shield so you can form the tip of the spear for your army. Onto tomes that you should select after you finish the Tome of the Horde. Although there are many videos out there that talk about the broken vines in the Tome of the Roots, I recommend in tier 1 that you select the Tome of Beasts, which gives you a summoning unit that summons tier 1 animals. There are also spells and transformations that will buff your cavalry units, which include your scouts. In tier 2, we start to get clever and focus on mind controlling units in the Tome of Fertility and Beacon. The Nymph and Lightbringer will mind control the biggest threats, which will cause your opponents to kill their own unit, make them bunch up, making them better targets for your mounted unit's web attack. In tier 3, we select the Summoning Tome of Magic, which gives us Arcane Bond, which is a mind control spell that affects magic origin units. Perfect for the magic victory defense. Once again, target the biggest enemy and cause chaos. Speaking of chaos, I like to select the Pandemonium Tome of Magic afterwards, which gives a city target spell that causes your opponent to lose a border province, the population, and spawn a brigand camp. You can use your invisible scouts to get close enough to cast the spell on the enemy city. At this point, you're basically done with the build, as this is more of an early game rush build. Make as many scouts as you can, which will scour the map for every prospectable province, meet all the free cities, and provide additional DPS at all stages of the game for very little upkeep. In terms of additional strategy, I would make walled outposts on the province of any surface entrance to the underground. This will slow down your opponents and prevent them from coming down to scout your territory unless they want to start a war. Look out in your Empire development screen for these two items in the Shadow Affinity tree that gives you additional Whispering Stones and the additional knowledge income from using them. And finally, have full stacks of your invisible but deadly scouts literally shadowing your hero, which will surprise your enemies. So that is the Charming Spiders build. Give it a try and let me know what you do to improve upon it. Check out the rest of my channel for other videos on Age of Wonders 4, video games, board games, and other fun things. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.